members, please.
Mr. Jeter, District 1.
Here.
Ms. Glover, District 2. Here. Mr. Skeen, District 3.
Here.
Mr. Bricky, District 4.
Here.
Mr. Castile, District 5.
Here.
Mr. Manus, District 6.
Here.
Ms. Addington at large.
Here.
If you'll notice, Mr. Chris Manus is on the screen today, and to make this official, we'll need a motion that the chair's decision to approve Supervisor Manus's request to participate from a remote location due to a personal matter was in conformity with the board's policy governing remote participation in board meetings. This is Supervisor Manus's first remote meeting, and he joins us from a hotel in Wilmington, North Carolina, where his work commitments required him to be tonight. So if we can have a motion to that effect.
I'll make that motion.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Jeter, second by Mr. Addington. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. You all had a chance to look at the agenda. Are there any changes, deletions, additions?
I'd like to make a motion that we amend the agenda with an additional item under section 12 to discuss invitation of the school board to a joint session with the Board of Supervisors to discuss the future of Scott County Schools and what we can do to help them.
Okay. Was that an amendment to the number 12?
It's to remove.
12B, I guess.
12B.
But I would like to amend by adding that, not removing anything.
Could you restate that, please?
Yes. I move that we amend the agenda so that an additional item may be added to section 12, discussion of the invitation of the Scott County School Board to hold a joint session with the Board of Supervisors with the purpose of discussing the needs of Scott County schools.
Any discussion? All in favor? We have a motion. We need a second.
I'll second.
Darrell seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. The agenda will be amended.
I have one additional item to add. Addition of litter control discussion.
Where you gonna add it, Eddie?
Freedom will be the best spot for that.
Under new business, I would just do it as I.
New business as I.
Okay, here we have a motion to add litter to new business, section I. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'm sorry.
Was he second?
No, Michelle was. Okay, now do we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Darrell made the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Ms. Glover, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you've had a chance to look at the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I make that motion.
Okay, Mr. Manus makes the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Ms. Glover seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We move on to citizens' expression. We'll open citizens' expression, and I do have a statement to read prior to that. Citizen expression period is a point in the meeting when anyone who wishes to address the board or staff may do so. If you wish to speak, please come to the podium and state your name, where you're from in the county, and/or what organization you represent. The board may or may not respond to anything you say, but we will take everything you say into account when making future decisions. Keep your comments concise and businesslike. If no one has signed up to speak, we have no particular order. We just ask that you take turns and speak your business. Any action will be considered after we close citizen expression. Is there anyone signed up?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Anyone wish to speak?
Peggy, you can move that podium to where it feels comfortable as far as where you're standing.
Not comfortable with me here?
You're fine.
Okay, Peggy Tyson, I'm from Snowflake Road, and good evening. And this is different. As Bill said, I wore that up there out. But I'm here to complain again about rural roads, dirt roads, and Snowflake Road. I've got two here from Snowflake Road, and it's all dirt roads that I'm representing, I guess, complaining about. And some of ours on Snowflake Road is good shape, but some it's really bad after the rain. And then another thing that I was wanting to, I wish VDOT was here, but I will ask VDOT when he comes back. Does VDOT have a training program for the workers that work on the dirt roads? Because a lot of things, I don't know if they're trained well enough to know how to do what needs to be done. It's kind of like a Band-Aid fix what they're doing. But appreciate what VDOT does do. And we need more money allotted for unpaved roads. And I guess what I've been saying, can we move some money from primary roads to secondary roads? And then about, at the last meeting, it was about money, dollar for dollar, match dollar for dollar through, and that would mean twice as many roads could be paved through this, I don't know what they call that.
Revenue sharing.
Okay. And I guess to keep us on the 6-year plan, because it's working for some, but come back here. And we thank you guys for all the help that you give us. That gives us a little hope. And my sister would be here, but she's celebrating her oldest granddaughter's 21st birthday. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Anyone else?
First off, I'd like to thank Governor Youngkin for answering my letter and sending VDOT up on Boozy Creek, Mr. Wilson and Mr. Belcher, and I think that boy's name was
Campbell.
Bodie, I believe he's. Is that right?
Mr. Campbell.
Campbell?
Yeah.
Well, maybe that was his
Jeff
nickname.
Campbell.
And I also want to thank Michelle for coming up with me and Charles Teller and meeting with them and finding them a place to dump everything. And the only thing that they're waiting on right now is our permits, correct? Mm-hmm. And they don't know when that will come through. And I did find out that Tennessee and West Virginia does operate under a different set of EPA laws than Virginia does. And that's a shame. But anyway, we appreciate each and every one of you, and hope you all continue trying to help our county, and appreciate everything you've done for us. And one other thing, I still want to know about the trash dumpsters being open 24/7, and I haven't heard anything. So anyway, I appreciate you all, and anything we can help you with, we sure will do it.
Thank you, Mr. Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Bishop.
Anyone else wish to speak? Okay, we'll close citizens' expression. and get on to new business. We have with us Sandy Odell.
Thank you for the opportunity to come and talk with you about a proposal to, first I want to update you on a project we did last year and then give you an opportunity to hear about a new project that we're working on from the Community Services Board, Behavioral Health Services, and our partners with that. So I think you have an outline on your tablet that talks about the program that you approved last year doing with Lee Scott, Wise County and the City of Norton, a joint project where we applied for monies from the Opioid Abatement Authority statewide, and each of the localities gave a match for that out of an opioid abatement fund that is at the state level. So the dollars aren't here, right? I think that's right, Frida. The Opioid Abatement Authority holds those
Yeah, until they're requested.
funds with them until they're requested. So last year, we started an adolescent intensive outpatient program initiation in Big Stone Gap that would serve the 4 localities. And we had some difficulty getting some engineering specs. It took us 6 months to get the engineering specs from the company. So we've had a delay in that initiation. We do have those specs now. We have let the bid out to Quisenberries, and once that bid is signed, then they will start the construction work within 2 weeks, and we'll have that up and going, hopefully a soft launch by June for that program. So we're excited about that. The program that we want to talk with you about today is for recovery housing for individuals that have addictions to opioids and other drugs and alcohol. In Lee-Wise, Scott County, and the City of Norton, we have limited housing options for those individuals who are really trying to stay clean, get employment, get their lives back together. So we are proposing another joint project with Lee-Wise, Scott County, and the City of Norton to put 3 facilities eventually in our service area. We want to start with Scott County, and the reason for that is because of employment options here being a little bit better with the Tri-Cities than in some other locations. So we would serve up to 14 males in one home that are clean and sober. They've been through treatment programs generally. They may have been discharged from jail or released from jail, but they will be clean and sober when they enter the program. And so we would have staffing there as peers and clinical staff that come in and out of that program. We are asking from Scott County to provide funding out of their match money from the opioid abatement funding, which would be up to a total over 5 years of $19,655. So year 1 would be $4,800, year 2 would be $4,656, year 3 would be $3,738, year 4 would be $3,432, and year 5 would be $3,028. And the match that we're asking each of the localities for is based on the amount of money that you have, that each locality has at the state level under the Opioid Abatement Authority funding. So we would match 20% of what we're asking total from the Opioid Abatement Authority for. So in that program, the total cost of that will be right at $300,000. We have some other funding for that. We're asking the Opioid Abatement Authority to share the cost of this, which would be $129,703 the first year. Ballard has approved $50,000 for the first house to purchase a vehicle and to furnish the house. The Community Services Board and Frontier Health the first year would support it at $84,453, Scott County at $4,800, Lee County at $63,57, Wise County would contribute $20,000 and Norton $1,265. We would ask for funding over a 5-year period of time. In that amount of time, we hope that it will be self-sustaining with fees from the residents that live there. Folks will have to work. The guys that live there will have to go to work. It will be a requirement, and then they will pay a weekly amount to the program for living there. That's phase 1. We hope next year to be back before you to ask for phase 2, which would be a female house in Lee County that would serve women, and then a third house the next year for Wise County that would probably be back to serving men in Wise County. So we hope to have one of these residences in each of the 3 localities. We know that the Opioid Abatement Authority did fund a similar program to this in Virginia last year, so we're pretty confident that we will get that funding from them. So your match would be, over the course of 5 years, just short of $20,000. Any questions?
Ms. O'Dell, I did have a question. Is this similar to the facility in Clintwood that's based out of Kentucky?
No, number one, it'll be operated locally by those of us that you know. The Community Services Board, Frontier Health, and Residential Recovery Services out of Tennessee, which would be out of the Kingsport area. They have 11 homes already on the Tennessee side, Kingsport, Johnson City, Bristol. And in Virginia, to operate recovery residences, you have to have a peer recovery program that assists in the operation, and so that's who we've talked to about doing it. When you talk about the program in Clintwood, they're really looking at hundreds of people being there. And that's not at all what we're looking at here. We're looking at starting out with 14 guys. If we did a female, we get the female house in Lee County, we'd probably only be looking at about 8 women, because nobody wants to work with more than that under one roof for women. We can see doing that with the men, but not the women. So, and then if we go back to the third project in Wise, it would be somewhere around 12 to 16 people under one roof there. So what we really want to do is to serve people from Lee, Wise, Scott County, and Norton, where the program in Clintwood is going to serve people from all over the state of Virginia, all over the state of Kentucky, all over the state of whoever sends people there and pays for it. So we'll be serving the folks who are from Lee, Wise, Scott County, and the city of Norton.
Any other
What's
discussion?
the historical effectiveness of programs like this?
So we have, and I should have brought that with me, but we do have the numbers from the program that is in Tennessee. They have 11 homes now. They've served, I want to say it's about 480 people. Of those, 80% are employed, clean, back home, except for those that are in the program right now. They're living in the communities, working, taking care of their families. And I can send those stats to you from that program, but they're pretty impressive.
Yeah, I'd love to take a deeper look at that. I'd appreciate that.
I'll get that to Frida and she can send that out to you. Thank you.
Any discussion? Do we have a motion?
Is this something we do now, Frida, or would that be a budget item?
You would do it now. Opioid monies, the
Separate
grants
from
due
the-
in April, opioid monies separate outside of the normal budget process.
How much does Scott County have?
We've currently received a little over $140,000, but we have a state pot of money that we've only drew from with the previous program, which wasn't very much at all, and then this would be another application to draw from the state.
Oh, I did have one more question. Where would this facility be located at?
We hope in Gates City so
Yeah.
that folks can get to employment in town, being able to walk to stores and different facilities.
Would this require different zoning?
No, it does not require different zoning.
Mr. Brink, how do you think the people of Gate City would feel about that?
We've already got a facility here for women, and that's been there for years, and there's not been any problem at all. A lot of people, I don't think, even realize it's there, so we probably wouldn't see any difference between the women and the men.
Yeah.
More discussion? Do we have a motion?
So moved. Make the motion, please.
I'll second that.
Okay, Ms. Addington made the motion that we approve the opioid grant request, seconded by Mr. Mangus. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We'll come back and give you an update.
Now, Ms.
We
Lana
will.
Mullins.
Thank you.
Ms. Lana Mullins is here for Department of Social Services.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lana Mullins, and I'm the Director of the Department of Social Services. I'm also here to make a request to submit a grant to the Opioid Abatement Authority. And Ms. Odell and I work together, not against each other, so we're in support of one another. But just to tell you a little bit about some of the issues that we face in the Department of Social Services in regards to opioid use. It affects, of course, all programs, but especially our Child Protective Service program, foster care, and then more and more our Adult Protective Service program. We're currently averaging about 34 Child Protective Service referrals a month. We have 42 children in foster care. And then looking at those specific cases over the last 12 months, about 75% of those are touched by some type of substance abuse, which usually begins with opioid use. The severity of these cases, it has affected our ability to recruit and retain staff, just due to the complexity of the cases and the increasing danger that we face. In years past, we were more familiar with our environments that we were walking into, and now we're really unsure of what may be on the other side of the doors when we're going there. Some things that we've seen just over the last year or so, we've seen, an overdose death with a parent. We've had a parent hold a knife to a child as they were hallucinating on drugs. We've had a staff member assaulted and numerous threats made. So just the education that's required in dealing with these cases has become significant. So we're here to make a request to submit a grant. And of course, Ms. Odell has explained a lot of that already. We cannot do that independently. DSS cannot independently submit that grant. It has to be through the county. And we would like to request a one-time grant of $10,000, and we would like to do two things with that. First off, we would like to provide a training to our staff, community partners, and any community member that would be interested in attending. And the name of that training is Substance Misuse Across the Lifespan. I had the opportunity to actually attend this training, and it was by Dr. Merrill Norton, who is from High Shoals, Georgia. He's an expert in this field. He works with physicians in inpatient and outpatient settings, and he provides a tremendous amount of education on different pharmaceutical drugs, opioids, much of the gas station drugs that people are just, even juveniles walking in and purchasing now, and the effects of those. And we would love to bring him to our community to be able to train our staff and all the community partners here. The second thing we would like to do is we would like to establish a family support service within Department of Social Services where we could assist families that are taking children to prevent foster care placement. So many times when we have a situation and a child is unsafe at home, we can place that child with a family member and prevent that child from entering foster care. They don't have to change schools, they stay with what's familiar. But the problem with that is we have very limited supports for those families. Now, the General Assembly is actually working on that to try and establish a kinship foster care program to where those families could actually receive a payment. But what we are trying to do is have a fund where we can just support those families with simple purchases. It may be a newborn infant coming from the hospital, to purchase car seats, to purchase clothing, to purchase basically anything they need, bedding for the home, to where we can help that family take immediate care of the child. Parents are always not very forthcoming in those situations to provide the needs for the child, and we just don't have a fund where we can support those families. So those are the two things that we would like to do. We are new to making requests to the opioid fund, so we would like to work with Frida and with Ms. Odell, just in partnering to help to provide the community with all we can to try and keep everyone safe and have a more healthy community. Any questions?
Questions, comments? I'm on the Ms. Mullins' board, and we've discussed this thoroughly, and it would be a great asset to the Social Services Department if we went ahead and did this. And I'll make the motion that we go ahead and approve Ms. Mullins' training and family support services.
I'll second that.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Thank you all. Thanks for
Okay.
your support.
We have members of the Scott County Life Saving Crew. Don't see them.
Got one.
Okay.
One of the old broke down ones. Since the last board meeting, I'm David Gillen with Scott County Life Saving Group. I am the treasurer for the crew, but Janet Blankenbecker is the office manager. She's the one that takes care of the payroll, so I guess I'm pretty much here representing her tonight. We met with Ms. Starnes a couple of weeks ago, I guess, maybe 3, and I did a spreadsheet on our expenses on a payroll account for this past year, for the calendar year, and then for the first month and a half. So they have
It's
Uh,
on
um,
their tablets.
Okay. We started out 2023 with a balance of $28,400. We had credits of $446,734.41. Debits of $454,802.31. So at the end of the year, we had ending balance $20,332.33. Which that number right there is kind of misleading. Part of that money is what we received in December. But if you move on down to January and the first half of February, our ending balance was $5,564. We did get enough money from revenue recovery week before last in order to make payroll. But this is payroll week again, and we do not have enough money to cover the payroll this time. I think at the present time we've got somewhere around about $4,000 in the payroll account. And I broke everything down to where you can see where the money went to. If there's any questions about any of that, I'll try to answer them best I can.
What was your payroll run? Was it 2 weeks?
Yeah, every 2 weeks, about $10,000. Right now, it may be a little bit more than 10,000 because we've had 3 employees leave us in the last couple of weeks. 2 of them has went to other agencies here in the county. And in turn, it's kind of looking like we might be getting one from them. So we're just kind of trading back and forth. We are actively trying to find people to work, but it's just hard to find anybody. And in order to provide 24-hour coverage, we're having to work overtime to cover all this.
Any more comments, questions, Mr. Gillum?
Are you still having trouble collecting from insurance companies and stuff?
Yes. That's the reason why our balance is where it's at. We're just not getting the revenue that we normally get. So, and as you know, when you deal with Medicare and Medicaid, they just pay what they want to and when they want to. And same way with other insurance companies. It's just a battle to try to get money from them.
Do you think the data breach that was just paid off yesterday will affect your collections? I know I've heard from the others that they think it's going to hurt them.
I'm not real sure one way or the other. To be honest with you, I don't know what's going to happen down the road. If it was just one agency that's struggling, then you'd think, well, it could be mismanagement or some problem there, but for all three of us to be struggling, then it's, it's the same common problem.
Do you think if we get an attorney or something, maybe it'd help you collect your money?
To be honest with you, if you go up against the government, you probably wouldn't get anything. But like I said, Medicare and Medicaid is the biggest payers of what we charge. So I don't know what the answer is, to be honest with you.
I wish I did too. I don't know neither.
Ms. Starnes, you had a question at the last meeting about the guidelines. Have you had a chance to review all the numbers, and how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I met with David and Janet both, and the spreadsheet that I gave y'all last month was correct, with the exception of adding in what the billing agency was charging them, and that updated spreadsheet is on your tablet. They are, as you can see by the general ledger that he supplied, using the payroll support money for fuel, vehicles, utilities, in addition to their payroll. But Mr. Gillum explained to me when I met with him and Janet that if they didn't do that, they couldn't operate, that they don't have the money any other way.
Back in December, there was 3 nights we couldn't have bingo, so we lost quite a bit of income on the bingo side in order to pay. We covered our own utilities in December. Another crazy thing, which now, if you look on the credit cards, $14,000. That sounds like a lot of money, but any supplies that we buy, which we used to get our popcorn oil, trash bags, paper towels, toilet paper, anything that we needed, we'd get it from Sam's. Well, a lot of that stuff they don't have anymore. A lot of the cleaning supplies. So Janet has to order it online and pay for it with a credit card. According to the guidelines of the bingo commission, credit cards cannot be paid off with bingo money. So there's another strike against us that we just try to pay our bills and keep everything going.
Do you have to use a credit card for that? Are you unable to use a debit card at all?
Well, we order it from Google. And we don't have a debit card, we just got a credit card.
Any other comments, suggestions? Mr. Starnes?
So we had our board meeting this morning, and I'm going to request the $50,000 to hopefully hold us over till end of the fiscal year, same as what y'all did for Duffield and Nicholsville.
We didn't do $50,000. We gave.
45.
We did
45.
45.
Okay.
Mr. Torrance, should I ask for a motion for that?
It's a board decision.
Do we have a motion,
Where will that come from?
tools and machinery?
Yeah. I mean, it's basically you're taking it from the general fund. We can just appropriate it and transfer it from that line item.
And that'll leave the rest of the year, do you think? The fiscal year?
I'm on hope, but you know, I just don't know.
Do we have a motion from the board?
Could we allocate that amount of money and then you use as you need to
Right.
instead of the full 45 to begin with? I don't know, how did we do the other one? Did we just give them 45?
We did 90 and put it in the rescue line item, and they're using it.
And
as
they just use it
need
out as they need to? Okay, so that's what you all will do too, right? Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I would like to hope that we wouldn't even need it, but
Well, that way we can see what's being drawn down too. That's good.
right.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
In the form of a motion?
Would we want to earmark a specific amount just for Scott County Life Saving Crew?
We did 45. Which is what we did for the others, right?
Yeah, we did 45.
We'll do 45, Chris.
Okay, but that would be earmarked specifically for Scott County Life Saving Crew.
Yes.
Is that in the form of a motion?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll put that into the form of a motion and put to allocate $45,000 from the machinery and tools line item to be allocated to Scott County Life Saving Crew.
To the rescue
Rescue
line
squad.
item.
Right, line item.
Do we have a second?
I'll second, I'll second.
Mr. Jeter, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And it passes.
All right.
Good luck in the future.
I know,
We're all gonna need it.
might just get all of you to come down and help us sometime, get involved. All right, I appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Thank you all.
Next on the agenda is the boardroom speaker upgrade. And I don't have those figures in front of you, Ms. Starnes.
I've had a couple of board members mention that you can't hear good in the boardroom upstairs. So I had Matt take a look at what it would cost to update the speakers in the boardroom, which are where the people sit. That cost would be $1,617.16. The speakers would face the audience, so that would help with the hearing if you are sitting back in the audience. You know, if somebody's speaking, they're speaking toward the board members, not toward the crowd. So hopefully that would help, because the little drop-down mics that we have are very sensitive and they've been working well. They're probably about maybe 4 years old, 3-4 years old at this point. But we think updating those speakers toward the audience would help, because they were not changed out when we did the little drop-down mics. So we could give that a shot and see if that works. Like I said, we could use contingency if you put that in the motion, if that's what you want to do, is replace these at $1,617.16. And that's installed and everything.
I have heard some complaints that soft-spoken people you can't hear, so this would probably be good to do. Do we have a motion to that effect?
I make a motion.
Ms. Glover makes a motion that we go ahead and do this. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Skeens, second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? And it passes. Nicholsville Planning Commission funding request is next on the agenda. ladies.
Good evening. Thank you all for putting us on the agenda today. I'm Miranda Keith. I live in Nicholsville, and
I'm Becky Devine, I live in Nicholsville.
we are with the Planning Commission. And there's only a few of us, and what we're asking for tonight is help with our events that we have in town. And most of those events are all 100% donation driven. And we've been doing some surveys with our families, and it's really hard to bring kids out and stuff and spend money and stuff, and it seems a little odd to be asking for this with all the other things going on, but we want our families to come to concerts and stuff. But as a group, we looked at that, and we have all this stuff to show movies, but to get the permit and get the copyright to watch a movie is hundreds and hundreds of dollars just to show a movie. And then, if we do the fireworks with a permit, it's $7,000. So, you're looking at thousands of dollars to have this stuff, and with our surveys and stuff, the parents are like, thank you all for doing what you're doing. We did a Christmas parade. We gave away 8 bikes.
Yeah, we had 8 bikes donated, and we give away 8 bicycles.
Fed them hot chocolate
and cookies, and we donate to have people donate toys all year round, stuffed animals, whatever, and we hand them out during the parade route to kids. We make sure every kid that is in town gets something. And we're coming up to our Nicholsville days, and we like to make it where kids can come and do stuff for free, so it doesn't cost a family to do stuff there.
And our town has improved some. They made a farmer's market, and they've added some nice little things there, and it's cleaning up and stuff. But then we've got our kids that they just don't have the money to go, and there's nothing up there. I mean, if we don't have activities, and we're looking at once a month, we want to use that beautiful park there and that amphitheater and bring in music and concerts and activities, but without money, we just can't do that.
We're fixing to host an Easter egg hunt for the community free, doesn't cost anything, and we do it. We put it on, the planning committee does it all, and we're just wanting a little bit of help.
Yeah. And anything that you all can do would be greatly appreciated, and you're invited. And we are trying to do a little bit of changing of dates, and a lot of people are mad at us, and some people are like, thank you for changing it and stuff. And I mean, it's hard, it's hard to sit there with 3 or 4 people and make these decisions, and then the community come at you, and you're like, we're doing and we're just like, we're doing the best we can and stuff. But we would appreciate everything you all could do for us. Thank you all.
Thank you.
I admire you ladies for what you are doing.
And this is just one of our little notes that sort of says, do y'all need one for each one of them? You can do that.
Any discussion among the board?
What kind of money would you ladies figure that you would need to kind of get that a little more up and going?
Just whatever you can offer.
Well, the fireworks are alone to get the permit, and with the fire department's help, is anywhere between 5,000 and 7,000 alone, just the fireworks. That's not counting anything else. I mean, it's any activities. Some of our families will come to us and tell us they don't have the money to feed the kids that day, so the planning commission buys those families food at the events that we've had and stuff. Some of the families will come to us and say, we don't have money for a light bill, or we don't have money to buy Christmas presents, and we as a committee have went out and went to churches or people that we know and got money.
Done it ourselves.
Yeah, or done it ourselves to make sure our families are taken care of, and You know, we work with Miss Stallard at our school to make sure she knows, you know, to contact us with things and.
And we do, the students, we let them help with stuff for activities to give them some community service.
Yeah. And then if we get donations for stuff, then we try to make sure our sports or some activity at school is working the event, so they get the money to collect trash and bring people in on four-wheelers that can't walk and that kind of thing. We give them a set amount, and that's what, $500?
I think so, that's what we usually.
And we pay that organization $500 to help us that weekend with trash and just support and stuff. And
I know we've donated to other groups around the county, Duffield and Weber City, and I think Gage City, I'm not sure, and Dungannon. Is there any comparison? Do any of you remember what we've done for those?
$1,000.
$1,000?
I remember $1,000.
That's pretty standard, isn't it? Okay.
Why is the fireworks so high?
it's the permit for the insurance.
Because of, we hire someone that is licensed to do them. Because if we just ask we went through this last year, we asked the fire department we asked Wendell Burke to check on it for us, and he checked on it. And we get someone licensed to do them, because the fire department just can't set them off. The man that sets them off, he's licensed and he's got liability, and if something was to happen, that we caught somebody's pasture field on fire, or one of them caught a building on fire, anything, he's licensed and liability for it. And it wouldn't fall back on the town of Nicholasville. That's how we do it, because we don't want the town to be responsible for any liabilities like that.
Any more discussion or a motion from the board?
I'll make a motion that we make a $1,000 contribution.
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Skeen made the motion that we
From contingency.
from contingency, $1,000, and Mr. Castile second. All in favor, say aye.
We appreciate
Thank
all
you.
that. Thank you so much.
I'm glad to see that you changed the date to June the 8th. Took it away from Memorial.
Yeah, it's hard. It's been hard.
I served on that.
I know.
On the plan.
We miss you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I enjoyed every minute of it.
I know.
I miss you all.
We miss you too, Michelle. You can come back up there and help us.
Next on the agenda is a 6-year plan discussion, new additions, and Ms. Starnes will kick it off.
Usually in May each year, we have a public hearing to add new roads to the 6-year plan if funding is available. So I added this to the agenda this time just to start the conversation with you all and let you be deciding how you want to take consideration for new roads. In my memo, I explained the process that we did in 2021. Each board member brought a road to the full board for consideration. Each of the roads was presented and then ranked by each board member in order of their selection from number 1 through number 7. Those scores were put into a spreadsheet that averaged the scores for the final ranking. I did put that all the roads that were selected during that process have been added to the 6-year plan, but there is one road that was from District 2 that was the lowest scoring during this ranking that has not been put on the plan. And I have also received requests over the last couple of years that I've been making notes of in a binder. People have reached out to me about District 3, Gillen Water Chapel Road from Marsh Road that would link up to the already paved portion of Long Hollow. District 2, New Herland Road. We had a lady that attends church on that road come to one of our board meetings, and I actually made a note during that time about her request for the road. And District 5, Cox Chapel Road. and District 6 Ford Branch Road. Those are just some that I've had noted that people have either contacted me or been at the meetings in reference to. So this is just your time to discuss your thoughts on how you want to handle looking at new roads to put in the pipeline to be on the 6-year plan. I have not received a draft version of that plan yet from VDOT, and they will usually give me a heads up on how much money to expect, and they'll take a look at the roads that you all request and are interested in, and they'll do an estimate, and they'll see how many that we can fit on the plan.
They'll give us data on the traffic counts. That information is that part of the process?
If that's something that you want, we can ask for that. We would need to know the roads, though, to get that information.
That is already public anyways. Their spreadsheets we can download from the directly.
How many roads is on the 6-year plan right now that ain't done?
It looks like. Of course, I don't have the draft to see how many's come off since this time last year, which I know some of those have been completed. But that was our last version.
Would this be for 2030?
Yes.
Okay.
They got Cox's Chapel Road on it.
It is not on the plan.
No, that just.
Yeah, I've just had people reach out to me about that one.
I
Yeah.
like to put that one on it if I can.
I can send that to Mr. Sumter and let them do some calculations on that one and traffic counts.
And then, can I mention another one? Or just one?
It'd be better if we just did, if you just did one apiece, but that's your all's, totally your all's decision.
Can you ever put a road on it that the state, and it ain't a state maintained road, but there are about 12 houses on it, to get the state to ever take it over? Someone's asked me that.
To get the state to take over a road is called rural rustic, and I can send you all the details for that. You have to have a 40-foot right-of-way, there has to be ditches, I mean, it has to be up to standards before they'll even look at it. There was a road, Bluebell Drive, that's had a lot of interest, and people have talked about it over the years. And I know and that's like in a subdivision. And just that road to get it on rural rustic is like $365,000. And that would be up to the residents or up to the county to fund that, to get it up to standards.
Was there something about the 5% of funding that you have to set aside for the additions?
For maintenance, ongoing maintenance?
I'm thinking to add a new road, seemed like there was something Mr. Sumter said about 5%.
It can't have no more than 1,500 cars.
Well, that's fine. I just seemed like there was 5% mentioned. I wasn't sure what that was about. I just got the feeling it wasn't for doing 1 year. It's like a fund that was set aside out of the 6-year funding, 5% a year maybe.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. What's that called? I saw that earlier. Can't think of the name right now.
Well, is that kind of the way it works? You don't get it all in 1 year, it'd be over several years, you set aside 5%?
Yes,
Okay.
I think so.
Well, we don't have to go into details, but I've had several people ask me about it. it's difficult to qualify, actually, with the 40-foot right-of-ways. And
I have an email, I believe from Joy Sumter, that has that in it. I'll see if I can find it. But it's a name, and then it was like, you set it aside, and he had said before we would have the money for that, it would be like July 25. And that was like last year that he sent that out.
And I think it has to be like 20 years old to be added into the system. I sent something out on that, I don't know whether.
Yeah, it can't be a new road. It has.
The only new road would be like subdivision, and it has to be brought up specs by whoever's developing the subdivision.
The road I'm thinking about has been there ever since I was a small kid. And like I said, there's several houses on it. Part of it is paved up a hill, but that way I took it, that most of them would be willing to give the right of way to get it took, get the state to take it.
Ms. Starnes, let me get it straight in my mind. Between now and the public hearing in May, we just let you know what road that we choose in our district, and then we vote on it, and that's what goes in.
It would be good if we could have the roads by the April meeting and let you all decide what you want to do as far as making which road a priority, so that we could have be ready to have the public hearing in May, because we have to do publication in the newspaper and all of that for the public hearing. But if that's pushing the board too much to make your decision, we could probably have that public hearing in June. They just have to get that into the Commonwealth's transportation plan as well for them.
Okay. Any more questions, comments?
I have a comment. Michelle, there was a road that went through the process last time. The one that scored the lowest was Bright Hollow Lane. So it was actually one that went through and was voted on.
Okay.
So, I mean, technically, that one should go on the plan first. But could you check on that and see what that road looks like?
Okay, I will.
Yeah.
Okay, any further comments? Everybody understand?
Like a road that's like that, state main right of way like that, don't you think their taxes shouldn't be dropped since they're not receiving, that I feel like full benefits of their tax dollars?
Who's gonna drop their taxes?
I'll vote for it to lower the taxes. I don't have any problem. Because if the man ain't got a road to get to his property, and he's still being charged like the rest of the citizens, I don't think it's fair. Now, how do you feel? Do you think it's fair that a man that can't get to his house, he has to maintain, keep his road up, and it's been...
It's not my decision to make a decision about taxes.
No, but do you think it's fair that he should pay the same amount of taxes as people that's got a decent road to their house? Is what I'm asking nicely.
Their property assessment value should reflect that.
Yes. Their property.
Okay. I'll ask them, see if theirs is fair. I mean, I don't know. I'm just asking the question. What are you making face about it?
Any more discussion? If not, we'll move on to Spearhead Trails.
Okay.
Is there someone here from Spearhead Trails?
No. On your tablet, you have a memorandum of agreement from Spearhead Trails. This has already been looked at by Soil and Water and by the county attorney. Changes have been made, and what this MOA is for, it establishes guidelines for cooperation and coordination between the Scott County Erosion and Sediment Control Agency, Scott County, and Southwest Regional Recreation Authority. The MOA goes in and lists the items that the Regional Recreation Authority, which is Spearhead Trails, agrees to do while maintaining their trail system, and how erosion and sediment control will issue permits for the work. It just kind of streamlines that process where every time trails are being maintained, they're not having to go get a new erosion and sediment control permit. So that's on your tablet if you've had time to take a look at that.
Discussion by the board. Any comments? We just need to approve it.
Yeah.
We have a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement
And authorize Frida to sign.
and authorize Frida to sign.
So based on your review of it, you would recommend it?
And Ms. Kegley has reviewed and they've made the changes that she recommended as well.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Skeen made the motion. Do we have
I'll
a second?
second that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Manus. I forgot you were up there. All in favor, say
I'm real
aye.
quiet.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Now we need to ratify a letter of support for WiseLink.
Last week before last, I sent information out about a letter of support for a Go Virginia planning grant application for the Wise County Board of Supervisors. It is a grant application entitled WiseLink Coalfield Transformation Project. At this point, Wise County is applying for the planning grant for electrical transmission improvements. This is the possibility in the future of being a revenue sharing project through the Lonesome Pine Regional Industrial Facilities Authority. To me, it's a great community relationship. Localities are, we're neighbor localities with Wise County. I did hear from the majority of the board for approval, so the letter has been sent for that grant application, and I just need that ratified.
You did say it was a non-small nuclear issue.
Yes, it's
so it doesn't
two
have any-
different projects,
Okay.
and I did call the Wise County Administrator while we were communicating about that, and he did verify that it was not related to the SMRs.
Okay, I've been saying for quite a while that regional efforts are going to be very important to Scott County in the future.
Yes.
And this is one of those things with revenue sharing that, like the place in Bristol, I've never been up there, the casino. There's a lot of places around we can get money from, and this is one of them. Any other comments on ratifying this letter of support with WiseLink? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Glover makes a motion. We have a second.
I'll second.
Ms. Addington seconds. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. And bookkeeping items.
No, we have
One more.
litter control.
I'm sorry, I penciled it in and missed it. Discussion of litter control.
Yeah, I had a few questions, just to get so the public will be able to know. People ask him how they report their roads for litter pickup and how that process works, and all the way through until it ends up at the midway. Can you describe how that process works?
Ends up at Midway. Are you meaning litter
Well,
along the
somebody has
road?
litter in front of their house and they want to report it to get picked up. Can you walk us through the process of how that works?
Sure, they would call here or our litter control officer. Then they would go down two avenues that the county has in place. One is the Assign a Highway program that I've gave you all information about, where probationers are assigned to stretch a highway, and they pick it up based on what the judge has given them for community service and the number of hours and such. Many of those participants don't have a driver's license, so Stacy has to assign them an area near to their house or somewhere they can get to. They report back to Stacy when they've done it, and he goes out and verifies the bags and reports the bags to that to VDOT. Usually on Thursdays. He's went to every other Thursday because there was some redundancy on the reporting. They just didn't get to him. You'd have redundancy in the reporting. So that's a sign of highway. The other avenue is if Scott Services has participants to go out and do litter pickup along the road. There's a few considerations, like, is the road safe? You know, if it's down 71, you know, in the curves or in the snowflake area and people are doing 65 miles an hour, it may not be safe to be on the side of the road picking up litter. So they take that into account and what they can do. Then if Scott Services does it, he'll report back to Stacy, and Stacy will include the bags and locations that he's picked up to VDOT in the same email, so that they're not receiving, they don't know the difference between Scott Services and Assign Highway. So we try to have some continuity there as far as reporting to VDOT. Otherwise, any other litter pickup is not handled through the county at all. It would be the jail taking crews out, either the federal prison or the regional jail or the state prisons. And how they report to VDOT, I don't know.
I must say, Scott Services has done an excellent job on 71.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bags on 71.
Sure are.
You mentioned that they were kind of there for that purpose, but on a voluntary basis, are they responsible for picking up trash at Scott Services?
Scott Services, well, I would defer questions about Scott Services to Scott Services, because they're not under the county administrator's control or oversight. They're under the Commonwealth Attorney's oversight. But litter control is, or litter pickup is one of the services that they do, but there's a number of services that they do for the county throughout the year. In the summertime, we will have 2 or 3 of them employed every weekly mowing county properties, which takes usually around 4 days of the week, depending on weather and growing season and all that. That varies, of course. And then we'll have maintenance projects that they've have helped with, especially if they have some particular skill set. You know, one of the best electricians I've ever known was in that program at one time, and we utilized the far out of him, you know, on projects, and he did a lot of wiring for us. We've had carpenters, and you know, we kind of look at what skill set they're bringing to the table and what we got going on, and we'll place them there. They're at the transfer station quite often, doing some of the dirty jobs. One of them being when we push trash over into the big trucks. It don't all hit in the truck, and there's a scale down there that you have to clean out. So they help us with that. You know, we've had them on the landfill property cutting wooden plants that grows up. You know, we can't really have trees growing into the old places. Just a number of different jobs that they've done for the county. And you know, one thing, they talk about the number of participants, but I know there's a certain amount that are allowed to have private employment. And I guess, you know, they're looking in this program, they're looking to get these people on the straight and narrow, you know, not just a punishment type thing. And they have classes and treatment classes and computer classes that they might not be out picking up litter, but still a participant of that program. They have to pay their participation fee, but again, I'm not the expert on the Scott Services program. I would defer those questions to the Commonwealth Attorney's Office and Justin and Jessica.
I know some of the other things they do as well. They do the custodial work at the sheriff's office and at the extension office, And if our custodian is out here, or they've done a ton for us at the courthouse before, when we were in transition for probably a year or so, between custodians, they picked up and did all that for us, as well as here if our custodian is out.
Yeah.
So they have a wide range of being able to help with anything that's needed in the county.
We have used prisoners before for certain stuff, but it would require us going to the jail and picking them up in the mornings, which usually took a couple of hours to get down there and go through whatever procedure they had. And then you'd have to take them back that evening, you know, in time to get them back there, and then our guys get back before quitting time. Where now, they'll show up for work, meet the guys here in Gate City and get going. So.
I do have some concern about their safety, and Ms. McCarty said that she would put it in the paper each week if they could provide her a schedule. They would notify, I think you have, about 6,000 distribution. They go to 6,000 homes. I think would be a good resource to notify people, watch out for these people on picking up trash. And I think the comments I got back was, is basically you don't know from one day to the next on where you're going to be. And with 65 people and 5 to 15 working on this and other things, why wouldn't there be a schedule?
Well, again, I would defer that to Scott Services on their schedule. But I know it is a dynamic thing. I know our maintenance guys will contact Justin the day before and say, I need 2 guys tomorrow again for mowing. And you hope those 2 guys show up. And sometimes we'll get 2 guys that are really good, and they're showing up for the next 3 or 4 weeks. And I could tell you, we'll be mowing here that day and mowing there that day. But
rather than being a specific day, I'd just say week for a week, they'll be on 71 or 72 this week. And if they didn't show up one day, it's not going to make a difference, weather or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that would alert the public to say, watch out for these people that are out picking up trash.
Okay.
And 71 is kind of scary.
Right, it is. And we can talk to Justin about that, and he can let you know if he can give you a week-to-week schedule on what they might be into next week. I know in Stacy's situation with the Asana Highway, that'd be very difficult because that person, they're ordered by the court to do community service. They're not in jail like the Scott Services participants. They're on probation. So they may be, any scenario, they may be working their 9 to 5 and then having to take their daughter to dance and then doing their community service when they can. And so having a schedule like that, but they're usually one individual.
And usually that's not a major road, is it? Usually a
Usually
secondary.
Usually not.
The sites, convenience sites, how often do you go around and look and see what needs to be cleaned up outside the fence?
Well, our guys are there every day. I mean, we have people on site every day that report back to Jason on things like that. I see sites once a month or so. A lot of the trash that might be on the outside of the center is a result of people not putting stuff in bags when they throw it away. One of the rules of the site is supposed to be a bag of trash. That would save a lot of problems if people would just do that. But it's hard to manage because most of these sites, all but Yuma and East Carter's Valley, are open Monday through Saturday evening, 133 hours. Open, 24/7, 123 hours. And we have budget for 24 hours of attendance. So that attendance there for 24 hours out of that 133 hours of it being open. So it's a little hard to, you're going to walk in, there's going to be gaps of when an attendant is there and can clean stuff up. So in those gaps, somebody could throw something on the ground or...
What I saw in Nicholsville was, looked like 8 or 10 tires outside the fence.
8 or 10 tires outside the fence? See, I wasn't aware of that. Yeah, that, if you see that, if anybody sees that, just inform us.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, that's different. That's different from the piece of paper that blew
Well, it
across
looks
the
like a
fence.
restaurant up around it. It's behind the recycling bins, kind of over in that area in Nicholsville, over the fence.
Yeah.
In that wooded, kind of grown up area.
Yeah, yeah. As far as walking around through there and searching for something like that, I'd see it or not. I don't. It's not our property usually outside the fence, so I'm not out walking around. But if I know about something, and if I think it came from,
I can notify them.
Yeah, if I think it came from the solid waste center, we can try to take care of it.
VDOT, somebody mentioned to me that VDOT at one time had payments to deputies that on their off days that they could take people out and pick up the orange bags. Is that still in effect?
I don't think so. I think that was through the sheriff's office, right,
It's a contract that VDOT has, because I spoke with VDOT yesterday, and it's a contract that they have where a deputy can make overtime pay, and they pay them like $25 per hour, that each hour that they're out there with.
There used to be one deputy that did that a lot before Scott's service, and he didn't want to do it anymore. They would actually take the trailer and load the orange bags as they went. So it was, a really good thing because they were hauling them as they went. You wouldn't see the orange bags beside the road. But that deputy wasn't interested in doing that anymore. And with this, I don't know that they would have the people at the jail that you could trust to get out now with this, since we have the Scott Service Program. So that'd be something that we could find out about though. For
sure.
A lot of that went away during COVID, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I talked to Mr. Sumter about having contractors that would hire on to do the project, and he said they were going to look into it.
Did you notice on one of my responses, and this is a program that I didn't realize was out there, it's called Beautify Virginia. And you have the Adopt a Highway program. Now, I don't want to confuse you. Assign a highway is probation. Adopt a highway is where an individual or a civic group adopts a section of highway and they put up the signs. All of us has probably seen those signs out, and they go out and pick up the trash physically. Well, there's also a program called Beautify Virginia, where that organization or a restaurant or a grocery store or whoever can adopt a highway, and instead of them going out and physically doing it, they go through VDOT, and VDOT hires an approved contractor to do it.
He said they would have to go through a process and bids and all that. The guy in Nicholsville was interested in doing it, the deal, Queens River.
Yeah.
He said he'd be interested in doing it under contract, but
through VDOT.
Yeah, Mr. Sumter's looking into how they can do that.
Yeah.
But they'd have to open it up for bids from everybody, not just him.
But the Beautify Virginia is appealing to me because most of the trash is restaurant trash. It's the cups and the bags that when the people get through, for some reason they throw it out their window. So them anteing up and getting that program, and then VDOT will put up a sign and says this section of highway sponsored by such and such. And it might be a good thing, and that might be something our litter control officer could spearhead as far as being a liaison between VDOT and the businesses. if we could get some information from VDOT about that, or applications, or what have you. Now, VDOT will look at sections of road and they determine whether or not it's safe and can have people on it. But if it's a contractor, you know, that may be a whole different ballgame. You know, they might have trucks and stuff that makes it safe.
One other question I had was, and I've mentioned to you before, the German Shepherd dog at Antioch that comes over. And some people are afraid to get out of their vehicle to unload the trash when the dog is there.
We have spoken with that owner several times. Last time I spoke with Jake, he was going to pick it up if it was on the property and take it to the shelter, and then they would come, and there's not really anything we can do other than charge them the shelter fee, which is like $3 or $4 a day. But it would be, you know, an aggravation to them to go get their dog out of the shelter. But we don't have that in place that we can cite somebody for that dog being there. We don't have a running at large ordinance in the county.
Well, that's all I had on litter, but I didn't know if you were going to leave or not, but I'll ask you this, so make sure you get it. The road safety surveys from school bus and...
We got 6 from the sheriff's office and 8 from the bus drivers.
What this was, we were trying to, thank you, trying to determine unsafe conditions on rural roads. And the buses, I felt like, would be because I think VDOT will address those issues quicker than if it's something else. And we asked, or Bill did, send a nice survey out and ask the school bus drivers, or the supervisor for school bus drivers, to send the surveys out to all the bus drivers. And it looks like only 8 have been returned.
Right.
With the sheriff's department, it's been 6. So, well, they have 9 deputies, road deputies in the sheriff's department.
I don't know.
Is that about right? Patrol. I think they have 3 per shift, don't they? And, well, anyway,
Yeah.
they sent back 6. So it's still less than I thought we'd get, because I've talked to several bus drivers that felt like they had a lot of unsafe roads. But maybe we'll still get some more.
I did approach the post office, and they couldn't give it to the postal carriers without approval from the communication office in Roanoke. And I tried to call them, I tried to email them, tried to text them, and they didn't communicate very well. So I never really heard anything from the communication office in Roanoke.
Thank you.
Could you tell Stacy to check on Fleming Road in Carter's Valley? Someone has dumped a lot of tires and trash over there. I've got pictures if you all need to see.
Fleming Road in where?
Carter's Valley.
Carter's Valley.
Near Spring Valley.
I know he may already know about it. I know that he goes by as he's coming in the morning and checks cameras, like game cameras somewhere in Carter's Valley. Unfortunately, there's plenty of those to, you know, check on. So, but yeah, I'll. Do you have an address nearby? Closest address? Yeah, give me the closest address and we'll look at it.
Thank you.
Is the cameras at the waste site working?
They are. The one at Yuma, the camera went bad, and we've had telephone co-op come out, and that's what they told us. The camera went bad, and they've ordered us another one, so we're waiting on it to come.
Moving on to bookkeeping items. Go ahead, Darryl.
Are they working out pretty good, the cameras?
They're really, I'd like to have them everywhere, to tell you the truth. They work out very good as far as being able to look at the sites. The transfer station can see the sites and know when like a roll-off fills up, especially during the day, a Yuma, a roll-off box will fill, they'll go get it that morning and it'll fill up by 1 o'clock and they'll see it and go try to get it. But yeah, they're beneficial. I would have to say, yeah, we've had a few prosecutions on stuff. The guy that threw the live calf in the dumpster and the guy that dumped the stuff out at Nicholsville, and you know, I think it's a deterrent of some sort as well on the busiest sites.
We'll move on to bookkeeping items. Tina, are you bookkeeping?
I'm bookkeeping.
You're bookkeeping, okay.
You have two appropriations. Please appropriate $55,377.75 to capital projects, communications, equipment replacement, 1,000-94000-408-104 for an insurance claim received and deposited at the treasurer's office. Note deposited in 1,000-01899-318924 on 12/15/2023, and appropriate $1,178.40 general properties repair maintenance general property 1,000-43200-403302 for an insurance claim received and deposited at the treasurer's office that was deposited on 2/21/24. And those are the only two appropriations.
Do we have a motion to approve these appropriations?
Excuse me.
So moved.
Mr. Jeter made the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Addington, second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let me say, I know you're doing this next year.
You have one appointment to make to the Community Policy Management Team. Jessica Keith has been serving and she did reapply for this.
Okay, do we have a nomination for the Community Policy Management Team?
I'll nominate Jessica Keith.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
You usually do them.
Yeah, I know.
Nomination,
I
and
know.
then you have a motion for nomination cease and the appointment acclamation. So
Okay.
let's do that.
I'll make the motion that nomination cease and we vote by acclamation.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Menace. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, Ms. Hicks.
You have two positions open for the Planning Commission. Jack Compton and Jeff C. have been serving in these positions. You have two applicants, Scott Tipton and Jeff C.
I'll nominate Jeff C. for this position. Me.
I'll make a motion, nomination cease, vote by acclamation.
Do we have a second for
I'll
that?
second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'll nominate Scott Tipton
I'll
for the
second.
Planning Commission. We have a motion that nomination cease.
I'll do that.
Okay, nomination cease, and we vote by acclamation. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Take your pick. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Was that Mr. Castile on the second?
Yes.
You have two positions for the Public Service Authority. Edgar Hood and Marshall Tipton have been serving and they did reapply.
I'll nominate Marshall Tipton.
I'll second that. And I'll make the motion,
No.
nomination cease, and we vote by acclamation.
Do we have a
I'll second
second?
that.
Okay, Ms. Glover, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That was Marshall. I'll make a motion that Edgar Hood,
I'll second.
do you make a motion that nomination cease?
Oh, I make a motion that nominations cease and we vote by acclamation.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We'll get it done. County Attorney's report. Ms. Kegley, do you have anything?
I don't have anything to add in my report that you all have. Happy to answer any questions.
I did have one question for you.
All
On
right.
the, of course, we've had some discussion on this. As far as the procurement process and unsolicited proposals,
Mhm.
could you kind of explain how that works? In the procurement process?
We don't usually entertain an unsolicited proposal. We will procure for things that, services and goods that we need. We make that decision based on the budget and the needs of the county. So we have to go through the procurement process, which means we put out a request for proposals or request for bids, or have to get quotes if it's not a very big ticket item. So we do that. We don't entertain people who just come to us and say, we have this service, why don't you take our service? So if we decide we wanted to need that service, then we still have to go through the procurement process for that.
So the recent proposal was rejected?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have.
Any other questions, Ms. Kegley? County Administrator's report, Ms. Torrance.
We'll do the claims first. That's the green sheets in your folder. The available cash after claims was $5,877,978. And if you look at your comparison, don't panic.
Already
We have $10,500,000 invested in the local government investment pool, and that is not considered available cash.
Good.
So that's why that's not in your total.
Right.
Get a man a heart attack.
So as far as claims, I've attached the over 5,000 vendor list. That's 2 pages. If you want to take a look through those, if you have any questions about them. Early claims this month totaled $576,599.55. And current claims are $376,924.61. So total claims that need to be approved for the month is $953,524.16.
Does the fire departments and the, all of them, they done drawed out all their money for the year?
We gave them all their allocation in January. You all approved that at the January meeting.
So there's no more of them to come out.
Do we have a motion for the approval of the claims?
So moved.
Darrell makes a motion that the bills be paid. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Anderson, second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Miscellaneous, Ms. Torrance.
Under miscellaneous, I just wanted to give you a brief update on the Lonesome Pine Regional Industrial Facilities Authority. Myself and John Kilgore serve on this. And we've got a couple projects going on I just wanted to bring to your attention, especially for the new board members that may not be aware of regional work that's been going on in the county. As part of the RIFA, it's Lee, Scott, Wise, Norton, and the City of Norton and Dickinson counties also included. Dickinson is not the Lenawisco region, but they are part of our RIFA. So Project Thoroughbred, we had an announcement in late September, $2.5 million from the Abandoned Mine Land Economic Revitalization, which is called an AMLR program. The regional project will reclaim a former coal loading facility that will turn into a grain processing, storage, and distribution terminal. The specialty grains are going to be used in the craft beverage market and reinvigorate agriculture as an economic component for the Southwest Virginia economy. This project is located in Norton. And then Project Intersection, you've probably saw this if you've been to Norton and maybe not realized that Scott County is a part of this business park. There are 4 pad-ready sites on the former surface mining Site that's located at the intersections of 23 and 58. So if you're going toward Wise, the high wall, coal high wall was taken down. You can see the Earthlink building up there now that's under construction. It is located on pad number 4, and it should be complete in April. So they're going to have 285 employees. The Earthlink CEO, they're in Atlanta right now, but he is from Wise County, so he wanted to come back to his home area, and that's why this project was selected to be there. They're going to be the first tenant at Project Intersection. It's a 200 total acre site. It's been out there as commercial and light in industries, what we're trying to promote. There are 3 other site pads that they're very close to being complete. The road is complete with curb and gutter. There is Wi-Fi, electric, all of the natural gas, broadband, all of that's available to all the sites. Site 1A is going to include a 20,000 square foot light manufacturing building. That's going to be using VCTA funds and Virginia Tobacco Commission funds. Site 1B, we're also looking at doing AMOR funds and Tobacco Commission funds for that to build a shell data center building to try to bring in a data center. VEDP, which is the Virginia Economic Development Partnership, is reviewing a request that's in now for recertification of Project Intersection from a Tier 3 to a Tier 4 development site. That would be huge if we could get that bumped up to Tier 4. There's very few sites that are ready to be developed at Tier 4 level in our area or completely in Virginia at all. Energy Delta Lab, I've included their website for you. This is on your tablet. It's energydeltalab.org. We're currently working on over $10 million worth of projects that is working with 60 developers about working on former surface mine sites. The portfolio of projects includes solar, wind, hydrogen, pump storage, hydro, data centers, and then potentially in the distant future, advanced nuclear. Delta Energy Lab's role is to match developers with available land and work with them to determine if it is viable. Currently, the Lonesome Pine RIFA is a fiscal agent, grantee, or administrator of nearly $30 million, and I've listed who those funding sources have come from. And I've also included some history of the RIFA and how it got started. So if you've got any questions about any of those projects, just let me know. It's great to be able to be part of a regional project, especially with some of these abandoned mine land projects, because we don't have that in Scott County, and it's really easy to get funding at the state and federal level for abandoned mine land to bring in projects on those sites. So it's good that we're a part of that. So I just wanted to give you an update. It had been several months since we had talked about the RIFA, but that's all I had under miscellaneous.
Okay, thank you. Item number 12 on our agenda is board comments, requests, and recommendations, and we have 2 items: A, school 10-year maintenance construction consolidation discussion, and B, additional joint session with school board. Correct, Mr. Manus?
That's correct.
Okay. We'll open the floor for discussion.
Well,
on either one of them, supposedly.
On A, the people that were in Richmond in the delegation from Scott County, we had a meeting with Davenport and Company, and they're a financial advisor for several counties. And without being solicited, he started talking about our school system. And we spent quite a bit of time with our session with him about the cost of maintaining our school properties. And also when we met with Mr. Kilgore, he had similar concerns. So I think we need to start talking, and I think Chris is wanting to get Scott County school system involved in the discussion on maintaining our properties and the cost is gonna, over the next 5 and 10 years. And we are having a declining student count in all of our schools. I don't know if anyone's having an increase, but pretty much I think they're all declining. And the cost per student, I think statewide is about $10,000 per student. And I think in Scott County, it's anywhere from 18 to 20,000 on the number I saw from WCYB in Bristol. So we've got twice the cost per student. And I have a feeling it probably has a lot to do with the properties, the maintenance. I'm not sure about that. I just wanted to start the discussion to see, where we're going to be in 5 years and 10 years. Chris, did you have anything to add?
No, I really wish the school board was here to kind of represent their side of this. But we will invite them to a joint session, or I would like to invite them to a joint session.
Do the other board members want to weigh in on it?
I started 4 years ago talking about this, and the Board of Supervisors has nothing to do with the school system except generating money and paying for the school system. So I've been before the board, I've talked to the superintendent, I've talked to school board members, and you gentlemen, I welcome you to the battle.
Well, it is the money issue. Doesn't the Scott County taxpayers pay a big chunk of well,
JLARC came out with a study just this year, and in the past, they thought there was a lot of money coming from the federal government. The federal government only pays around between 7 and 8% of the money that goes into Scott County schools. Scott County taxpayers pay more than the federal government does. Most of the money comes from the state, and I'd have to look on the chart, but I think it's around maybe 60, 65%. And no, it's more than that. It's more like 70 to 80. And then the federal government, and most of it comes from the state, though, is where the money comes from, if that's what you were asking.
Well, I wasn't sure on the formula, but I think with the cost of, well, I think he said 60 million would possibly be a construction cost. I think taxes would certainly be involved, so I think we need to start talking about what we expect the next 5 years for maintenance and next 10 years and the student count. That's kind of some information I'd be interested in looking at. And I think Mr. Ferguson would probably be able to provide that.
That it would have to come from them. And it'd be very interesting to sit down with them as a board of supervisors and a school board to discuss all this. I'd be more than welcome to do that.
We done a thing several years ago. I don't remember how many years was it when was it that performance contract that we did?
It's probably been 10.
Has it been
Yeah.
to save a lot of money on the schools? They put in new lights and changed the water, and I don't know what all of the whole slew of stuff that performance contract, I think was what it was called.
I talked to Mr. Ferguson, and I got some numbers here from him of the students in each school, and the students coming across the state line into Tennessee, out of Tennessee in Scott County. Approximately 3,273 kids here in the county, and there are around 403 kids that's coming across the state line into Scott County. Mr. Ferguson told me that the county paid 18.72% of the money, and the state picked up the rest of it. To kind of give you an example, Weber City's got 106 kids coming out of Tennessee. 339 kids is in Weber City. Gate City has 118 kids out of Tennessee, 588. Yuma has 61 kids from Tennessee coming here, and they ain't but 176 kids. Now, that was the numbers that I got, Nicholsville had none and Dungannon had none. But the rest of the schools had Tennessee kids in it.
Mr. Castile, on Weber City, did you say 106 or 186?
Weber City has got 106 kids out of Tennessee, and there are 339 in Weber City. And Shoemaker has 39 or 384 kids.
I think Weber City, Yuma, and Gate City, 20% of their students were Tennessee. I think was the number on that. 13 of the total percent of the county.
I think it was about 1/3, not hardly a third in Weber City, but Yuma was 61 kids and there's 176, so that gives you somewhere close to a third, definitely a fourth. The kids just in them schools.
The Board of Supervisors is responsible for over 50 different budgets. And of that pie that we've got to take all the money for those 52 different budgets out. And I'm just going to say that I'm guessing it's between 23 and 25% of the money that goes to the school system. And Mr. Skeens mentioned, I've never heard a figure that high, ADM, $18,000 per student.
I made a note from WCYB, they did a story, and I guess we could research it, but I think, well, it's a $60 million budget, and it's 3,200 kids. They get you about 18,000.
I saw 18,000 recently, but if you would take a calculator when you go home, and I know there's cases of 4 students in a family coming from Tennessee over here, multiply 16,000, 18,000 times 4 times 13 years of school. And I bet it's close to $800,000, $900,000 for one family over a period that the kid's in school. That's the kind of thing that I wish we as a board could sit down with the school board, Chris,
Yes.
and have them show us why it's better to let those kids come over here tuition free.
Mm-hmm.
I just, you know, I worked the school system for years and I love the kids and the schools, but it just doesn't make sense. So, but until we can get them to sit down with us, and I've asked everybody in the school system, and for some reason they don't want to talk. So
I think Chris, has an avenue to get that done, so hopefully he can.
I don't have an avenue myself, but I think as a majority new board, we have a unique opportunity in front of us to set down a new sort of relationship with the school board. And it would, I think it would be advantageous for us to kind of restart that relationship, since over the past few years it has gotten, even rockier than what it was, say, 10 years ago.
Chris, I appreciate you saying that, because I guess I've maybe been the one that's been talking too much over the last 4 years. So I'm going to kind of back off and let the new members take hold and see what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be happy to sit in on any
absolutely.
meeting that you can get together. I'll be happy to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it starts with us just going to them and saying, hey, we'd love to have a joint meeting. We want to understand what you all want to accomplish over the next 10 years, and we want to be allies in that. Education is probably the best way that we can move our county forward, and we can't do that if the Board of Supervisors and the school board don't get along and don't work together.
I did hear some information this week about the pre-K students. I think they're required to be, I can't remember all the details, Does anybody want to help me out on that? Anybody familiar with the pre-K on, as far as out of state? Do they have to be in state to be in the pre-K system?
Oh, no.
To qualify for?
I think if you check, there, we would have kids coming from as far away as Burnsville, Rogersville, Hawkins County, pre-K on through. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
I know we talked about this several years ago. It stirred up the office hornet's nest there was, didn't it?
I think we just need to start talking about the cost over the next 5 and 10 years, not get into anything else right now.
Well, you mentioned students, but, and this is what I think, I've not seen it written on, but I think we've got the oldest schools in the state of Virginia.
We do.
That's what they told us in Richmond. You're right, Mr.
I
Briggs.
think it,
So
yeah.
that's not good. A life of a public building is 50 years, and there's not a, I would say some of our schools.
over 50 years old.
At least.
Middle school DC would probably meet that.
And it's, I think it's over that. Or Twin Springs or the middle school older, or not.
I think
They're
67.
the youngest probably.
Twin Springs was built 67, I think I seen a thing on it.
Any further discussion or comments?
I'd like to make a motion that we formally send a request for a joint meeting together with them to discuss the future and what their needs are going to be, and so we can appropriately plan for that.
Very good. Motion's been made by Mr. Manis. Do we have a second?
that motion. I will
Glover, second first.
Absolutely.
All in favor? Signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Manis.
Thank you.
We don't have closed session.
Well, I do have a few other comments. Are you ready for those now, or?
Yes.
Just generally, I'd like to cover a few things when I finish up on what, just to notify the public, more or less. But the one thing I wanted to ask about, the work session planned for roads for April 9th. Could you update us on that? On attendance?
I haven't heard from either Delegate Kilgore or Senator Pillion.
What this is, we have a need in the county. We're the 250 miles and second highest in the state of Virginia for unpaved roads. And we've asked Mr. Kilgore, our delegate, and Senator Pillion to come down and do a work session here in Scott County and meet the people and come have a discussion about how to fund this and speed the process up. So at this point, they're not planning on attending, it appears. So we'll see. The other thing this month, I've had 19 phone calls, water, roads, and litter. I've had some conversations with Mr. Sumter. One of their people, I think the same guy that came to visit you, came out and we went and checked the guardrail location. One thing Mr. Sumter said that some people were, I'm tracking the work orders. He said some people were thinking that their work orders could get fixed in 2 weeks, and that's not the case.
No.
If there's a work order that's submitted and people don't hear back within 2 weeks on a plan, then they can call me. Then I'll work with Mr. Sumter on that. Sometimes the materials are needed or need to do permits. I think that's what y'all ran into over there this week.
EPA.
Yeah. So sometimes these are delayed, but in most cases, I'd say not, but just the communication's what I'm looking at. If you don't get communications within 2 weeks, give me a call. And if the trash bags, the orange bags have been out more than 2 weeks, give me a call. I met with Dwayne Miller with Lenowisco to discuss the roads. He suggested trying to increase the state budget rather than trying to get the formulas changed. He said just increasing the state budget would be the best approach. Had an opportunity to attend a Nicholsville water meeting with Mrs. Starnes and Mike Dishman, engineers, and Larry Vickers set that up for us. Thank you, Larry. It's a $14 million project. It's from Snowflake up to Nicholsville. I wanted to remind everyone that it's not signed up. If they need water in that area up to Clawhammer Drive on Big Moccasin, you need to sign a work order or user agreement. And if anybody signed up and they don't want water, they need to let PSA no, because they're going to get charged if they don't. So they need to take their name off the list. We're having a Midway and Twin Springs water meeting at the Midway Methodist Church sometime in March to do the Central Scott project and get some more user agreements. APCA is offering a free tax preparation to individuals and families in Scott County. It's a simple federal and state forms. And if they make less than $64,000 a year, they'll do your taxes for free. And they can go on, I think, on our website and get that information on their contact phone number. Attended a Gate City Frontier meeting for tourism and economic development. They're having a Jeep rally on Memorial Day. It's a big event. We're having an agritourism farm show at Meadowview March 16th and 17th. Scott County will have 8 representatives there with the booth. Pam Cox has set that up for us. I went and visited Appalachian Harvest in Duffield. Something I didn't know about, but they buy produce and other meat and milk in a 400-mile radius of this area. And they're big. They sell some to supermarkets, but most of their products go out to food banks. And they send out about 1,600 boxes a week. So they have a lot of.
They also offer free boxes on Fridays. If you're in the area, in the Duffield area and need it, around from 10 till 12 during the day, they hand out free boxes of food on Fridays. So it's a really big help to the community.
But we do have a small dairy in Nicholsville, Nash Creamery, and he wasn't aware of this. And I don't think a lot of people are, but he's interested in talking to him about selling milk. The lady didn't come today, but we have a Gold Star mother in the area in Snowflake, Miss Poston, and she's interested in naming a bridge there in Snowflake after her son. But maybe she'll come to the next meeting. Anyway, it's all I have.
Mr. Skeen, can Tina have a copy of your list there?
Sure.
Okay.
Any more comments from Board of Supervisors? If not, I think it's time to adjourn the meeting to April the 2nd, 2024. Thanks, everybody.